But once you figure out that your team has changed, that your team has now taken a step back, you as a manager now have to accommodate that. You have to adjust to that and say, structurally, we're going to have to be more disciplined. And we're going to change some things up until we find who we once were.
But we're 10 games into this run.
Well, that's my point, Dan. That's exactly... Look, I didn't wake up this morning trying to get worked up about Manchester City, but this is why I get worked up about Manchester City, because we're 10 matches into this, and who we consider to be the best manager in the world, or in the conversation the best manager in the world, is coming out and actually putting out explanations in terms of how proud he is of his players. No. If I'm a Manchester City fan, I want to see this team doing something different to change what's happening in front of me and what's been happening. Yeah. And it's not coming. The change hasn't happened yet. So what makes us think that it's actually going to come? Too many stubborn people here, including Pep Guardiola.
The manager's not changing his ways because the manager knows, sorry Frank, that he's not going to get the sack. Most managers on a run like this would be under a lot of pressure. Apart from us having a go and a few others and blah, 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 and the media maybe asking him some questions in the press conference about his tactics and his results, there's nothing internally pressurising him because he has so much success. And he is regarded as the best coach on the planet at this moment in time. And so there's no real need for him to go away, apart from the fact it's results. I think in his mind, they're not going to sack me, so we're just going to continue doing what we're doing because that's the way that I want to do it and that's the way that I've been successful. Whereas this current squad, in terms of who's available, really needs to find a different way to get results because the current way they're doing it isn't working. But we have a manager here who's got so much money in the bank, I think he's unwilling to change his philosophy because he knows he's pretty much, they can't touch him. In terms of, him losing his job, which would just be crazy with the success he's had. So that breeds some sort of, overconfidence in terms of how you're approaching games. They could go out of this Champions League. That's going to be big for them. They've got all these charges hanging over them. They've got various things. They need to get this going quickly. And I think if they do go out of this Champions League at this stage, he's going to get a lot of questions. And particularly if the Premier League run keeps going.
Yeah, of course.
There has to be an end game to that. So, but as I say, he's probably the most untouchable manager in the world. But that is fast changing.
Go on, Frank.
Yeah, it brings us to the question, according to what Craig just said, the fact that we all consider, because of the success that he had throughout his career, Guardiola is the best coach in the world. But how do you design or rank a coach as the best in the world? Isn't he somebody who can sort out any problems, who can have an option to, who can deal with problems? Or is it somebody who brings good players with lots of money, brings, of course, a tactic, a way of playing, like Guardiola did for Barcelona, for Munich, and for Manchester City? But now he's in front of a big test. He has to find out, without spending money, with the player that he has, if he can have an option too. That's, for me, his way to show us that he's really the best coach in the world. He showed it in one way. I want him to show it in another way. Having problems and not spending like 500 million to get the 5 other players. I want him to sort out the problem with the players that he has already because they're already talented. But he has to change, as I think Ali mentioned, he has to change the way of playing because they cannot play the way they used to play. That's a fact.
Meanwhile, I was just going to move on, or did you want to say something? Frank, what did you make of Juventus today?
I found them boring in the first half, but really the second half, they were more vertical. They tried something. They were courageous. They went for it, and I love. Well, at first I have to say that I really appreciate Gatti. I didn't know him. I have to say that he was absolutely fantastic today as a centre back, and Yildiz showed that he has a real talent as well. With Vlahovic, they were very much a threat to Manchester City. I think they deserve to win. They scored 2 great goals, and they did what they had to do to change the game because they were too conservative, I would say, the first half. they tried more the second half and they didn't pay off.
Second goal was impressive, wasn't it, Craig?
Oh, yeah. No, it was a good goal. You know, obviously made some waves here in the United States amongst people who get very excited very quickly. But no, it was the two substitutes combined and a great finish from Weston McKennie. There you go.